I'm Simona, and as Sarah said, I'm one of the teachers at IH Milan and San Donato. And today I'm here to tell you a little bit about storytelling and how to use storytelling in your classroom to engage your young learners and bring creativity in your classroom. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so as all good stories, my story starts with once upon a time. So my once upon a time was actually not so long ago, because it was last year at this conference. And last year, I listened to David Heathfield doing his plenary and his workshop. And he talked about storytelling and how to use storytelling in the classroom. And I completely fell in love with storytelling because I've always been interested in stories. And when I looked at him doing this, I said, okay, that is what's missing from my lessons. I want to do that. So I enrolled in one of his teacher training courses, and then I did another one, and I did some projects with him. And I started experimenting with storytelling in my classes. So I use storytelling a lot, but the question I came up with was, how can I use storytelling in my lessons without forgetting the course plan? Because as you know, as teachers, we have course plans to follow. There are certain things that our students have to be able to do by the end of the year. So how can I include storytelling in my lessons, but following the course plan? And experimenting, I came up with some solutions. And what I'm going to show you today is one of those solutions. So what is this workshop about? This workshop is about how to bring storytelling and creativity in your lessons. And I'll show you a whole lesson inspired by a story. What kind of lesson is this? I would use this plan in a review or a consolidation lesson. So maybe at the end of a unit or a couple of units, when you have a lesson that you can dedicate to review or consolidation, you can dedicate a whole lesson to storytelling and follow-up activities that relate to what you have to review and consolidate. And as you'll see, the topics I chose to focus on are not actually related to each other. This is just because I wanted to show you as many activities as possible to go with the story. And I chose different topics that you can focus on. They're not related to each other. They may not even be the same level. But what I did is to choose a higher and a lower level. So you see activities for higher and lower levels. Sometimes the activity is the same, but with a little tweak. And sometimes there will be completely different activities for the two groups. All the activities that I'm going to show you are doable both online and face-to-face. And what can you do in this workshop? I'd like to invite you to be my students for the next 20 minutes. So you can write your ideas in the chat whenever I ask you to. And please, I noticed that most of you are already doing this. Please make sure that you write to everyone and not just to the panelists so that everyone can see your lovely ideas. So without further ado, let's start. And the first activity I'm going to ask you to do with me is this. I want to ask you, what do you think is going to happen in the story? So the story I'm going to tell you is about a man called Nasrudin, his best friend, a tiger, a cliff, and a strawberry. So in the chat, write your ideas. How do you think these 5 elements can be linked together to create a story? Or maybe you don't know where the strawberry lies, so you may just want to use the other 4, or maybe just Nasrudin and the tiger, or Nasrudin and the cliff. Let's see your ideas. About survival, okay. Friendship. One day Nasrudin was about to eat a wonderful strawberry when his friends walked up. Okay, about friendship, great. And Tiziana, thank you. Nasrudin's best friend is a tiger and saves him. He's allergic to strawberries. Good. About. Okay, good. So thank you for your ideas. I'll stop sharing and I'll tell you the story of Nasrudin and the tiger. One day, Nasrudin decided to go to his best friend's house. The only problem was that his best friend lived very, very far away from him. And to reach his house, Nasrudin had to cross a whole desert and a whole jungle. So Nasrudin prepared his bag and then he set off on his journey. And he crossed the desert. It was hot, but everything was fine. And then he started walking in the jungle. He was walking in the jungle when suddenly he heard some footsteps coming from behind him. He turned around and he saw that a tiger was following him. Oh, this is not good, thought Nasrudin. Well, I've always wanted to start jogging to keep fit. Maybe this is the right time to do it. And so Nasrudin started jogging. But when he looked back, he saw that the tiger had also started jogging. Oh, this is not good, thought Nasrudin. Well, I think I'll start running a little bit faster. And so Nasrudin started running a little bit faster. But when he looked back, he saw that the tiger had also started running a little bit faster. Oh, this is not good, thought Nasrudin. Well, I think I'll start running as fast as I can. And so Nasrudin started running as fast as he could. But when he looked back, he saw that the tiger had also started running as fast as she could. And so Nasrudin ran and looked back and ran and looked back and ran and looked back. And he was running and looking back. And he didn't see that he had come to the edge of a cliff. And Nasrudin fell down, but fortunately, he was able to grab the branch of a tree sprouting out from the cliff. And we are almost at the end of the story. So using the chat, what do you think is going to happen at the end of the story? So Nasrudin is hanging there on the cliff and the tiger is up. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, Nasrudin has a strawberry and this helps him befriend the tiger. Great, his best friend saves him. Okay, great ideas. He saw a strawberry and ate it. Okay, the tiger is going to simply ask for information. A good idea, nice one. Okay, let's see. He threw a strawberry to the tiger to distract it. Okay, same idea, wonderful. Okay, I'll continue. So Nasrudin's hanging there, and Nasrudin looked up, and he saw that the tiger had come to the edge of the cliff and was looking down at him. And then Nasrudin looked down, and he saw two things. The first thing was that the cliff was not high enough for him to fall down and hurt himself. But the second thing was that down below, looking up at him, there was a second tiger. Oh, this is not good, thought Nasrudin, and he looked sideways, to the right, and then to the left, and oh, he saw something big, red, and juicy. He picked it. It was a strawberry. I love strawberries, thought Nasrudin, and he ate the strawberry. It was the best strawberry he had ever tasted. Well, at least I'll die happy, he said. And snap, the branch broke in two and Nasrudin fell to the ground. And the two tigers started to approach, slowly and studying their prey and sniffing. And they ran away. What? Thought Nasrudin. He looked around. The tigers had disappeared. Well, what happened? And then he remembered how they were sniffing and all that running. I think I know why they didn't want to eat me after all. And we've come to the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed the story. And I'm going to share my screen with you again. So here we are. So just to recap, the first activity I asked you to do before the storytelling was to create a story with 5 given elements. So how does it work in the classroom? You ask your students to create a story with these elements, and this activity is doable both with higher and lower levels to capture students' attention. Why is it doable with both higher and lower levels? Because of what you can expect from your students. So if from higher level students, you can expect a whole story, maybe with lower level students, you can just expect a couple of sentences or maybe some mimes and gestures to show you what they think is going to happen. And simple sentences such as Nasrudin eats strawberry or tiger eats Nasrudin. Very, very simple ones. And why is this activity helpful? So if you maybe are teaching exam classes, this activity is, for example, good for key and preliminary exam preparation, because there's a part in the writing part where they have to write a story. So they can start writing their stories and inventing their stories so that they have more creativity and they know how to do it when they're in the exam. Then the second activity that I asked you to do was during the storytelling. So in the middle, almost at the end of the story, I stopped and I asked you to guess what happened in the end. So again, this activity is doable both with higher and lower levels for what you can expect from your students. And why do we do this activity? This activity is helpful to check the students' understanding of the story so far. So if they're sure of what's happened, or maybe there's something that they need to check. And instead of telling a story for 4 or 5 minutes, you get them to cooperate with you and you involve them in the telling so that they give their ideas and they have to check their predictions at the end of the story, so that they want to listen to the ending to check if their predictions were correct or not. Then these were the activities that we can do before and during the telling. So now I'm going to show you how we can use storytelling to work in follow-up activities. So the structure I came up with was this. We know that Nasrudin went through a desert and through a jungle to go to his best friend's house. And now we're going to help him and follow him on his way back to his house. So this is Nasrudin's best friend's house, and this one is his house. And we're going to follow him and see the tigers, the strawberry, and the cliff, some activities related to these three elements. So first of all, we're going to see what we can do with a tiger. So if you remember, Nasrudin saw a couple of tigers in the jungle. And the activity I decided to choose for this part is a speaking activity that focuses on fluency and also develops some listening skills, in particular responding to a partner, because they have to listen and respond to what their partner says. What is this activity? We divide our students in pairs, and one of them is Nasrudin, the other one is his best friend. And Nasrudin has to tell the story of what happened to him in the jungle to his best friend. But the problem is that his best friend doesn't believe him. So Nasrudin has to try to convince him that this is what really happened in the jungle, because Nasrudin wants his best friend to drive him for a little while so that he doesn't have to walk all the way back. And this activity is for higher levels. For lower levels, the activity is the same. So the focus is still on speaking with some listening skills. The goal is still the same. So you have Nasrudin and his best friend. But since lower level students don't have the language to do this, you can ask them to get their message across however they can. So they can use simple sentences or simple words with mimes and gestures. As long as they get their message across, that's fine. Okay. And why are these activities helpful? So if you think about exam preparation for higher levels, they have collaborative tasks in the speaking part. So they have to listen and respond to their partner. So it's good if we start working on this, not in an exam environment, not focusing on exam preparation, but doing it all the same. And why is this activity good for lower levels? Because it gives a big confidence boost to your students, because your students have a scope. They have to try to communicate to do this. They have to try to convince their partner if they're Nasrudin, and they have to try to not drive Nasrudin. They don't want to drive Nasrudin. They have to try to convince Nasrudin that that's not really what he wants. So I know that this activity is not doable through the chat. So just to give you an idea of how this works, I've invited two colleagues and friends of mine to help me out with this. So if Elisa and Tiziana, you want to turn on your videos and audios, thank you. And Elisa will be Nasrudin and Tiziana will be her best friend. So Elisa will tell the story of what happened to her in the jungle, but Tiziana will be very mean just for this activity, and she'll try to interrupt Elisa and tell her that that's not really what happened. So without further ado, girls, the stage is yours. I'll interrupt you after a minute or two, just for time reasons.
Okay, thank you, Simona. So, my dear friend, you don't know what happened in this story. I've just experienced something crazy. I was walking to your house and I heard something behind. And when I turned, there was a tiger following me.
Oh, no way, a tiger. Where did you
Yes.
see a tiger?
Well, I was in the jungle and there are tigers. And
I've
this
never
tiger...
seen tigers in the jungle.
Oh my God, and we can go back together. I will show you. It was running and I started running and the tiger was running faster and faster. And I was so scared. I almost died. I could have died. Oh, please. And when I got to the edge of the cliff, there was another tiger following me.
Yeah, not only did you see one, you saw two.
Yes, I saw two tigers. That tiger was waiting for me after the edge of the cliff. So I almost died. And when I fell, oh my God, this is the crazy part. When I fell from the cliff, they came closer, but then they went away. They didn't touch me. They didn't eat me.
Why? That's impossible. Why wouldn't tiger eat you?
Well, I think I smell bad. So probably that's the reason. And you can smell me as well.
No, thank you. That bit I trust.
Lisa, thank you very much. You were wonderful. I'll just stop you here. And I hope everybody enjoyed Tiziana and Elisa's show as much as I did. They were wonderful. So this is what you can do with your students. Of course, their level of English is very high. They're teachers. But of course, this is the structure that you can use. So let's go back. So we saw the tiger, and now we're going to focus on the strawberry. And let's see. So there was a delicious strawberry on the cliff. Do you remember? And the focus I chose with higher levels was on grammar, about expressing certainty and probability. So Nasrudin found a strawberry on the cliff. That's not something that you see every day, right? So my question to my students is, what else can you find in the desert and in the jungle? So students can create sentences using verbs or phrases to express certainty and probability to tell me what they can find in the desert and in the jungle. So let's see your ideas. Add your ideas to the chat. What can you find there? For example, I might find an oasis in the desert. Okay, can you write complete sentences? Your ideas are wonderful, but you won't find drinkable water. Perfect. You'll probably find lots of insects in the jungle. Yes. Snakes, cacti. Yeah. Spider. Sand, mosquitoes. Perfect. Some vines. Okay. A shelter. Yes, maybe when you have to, a desperate person, maybe you can find Nasrudin running from the tigers. Okay, wonderful ideas. Thank you very much. So, and for lower levels, I chose a different focus. This focus is on vocabulary, so food, and functions, so expressing likes and dislikes. So Nasrudin says that he loves strawberries. So my question to my students is, what do you like and what do you dislike? And students write or create sentences about the food they like or dislike. And if, for example, you have a class or tiny little kids and they don't know how to write yet, they can just draw the food that they like and dislike in two different boxes and then tell each other in a mingling activity. So again, be my students, tell me in the chat, what do you like, what do you dislike? I love chocolate, I hate Brussels sprouts. What about you? I hate bananas. No, why I hate bananas? They're so good. Oh, I love sprouts, Matilda. Okay. Lasagna, broccoli. I love apples. Okay, Granny Smith apples, so particular one. Daniel loves Brussels sprouts as well. Okay, so it's just me. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your ideas. So let's continue. So we saw the tiger and the strawberry. Let's see, what can we do with the cliff? What do you think? So if you remember, Nasrudin fell down the cliff. So now, going back, he has to climb all the way up. And with higher levels, the focus I chose is on grammar. And this activity is doable both with the second conditional and with will for decisions taken on the spot. It's the same activity, just the structure that you want to focus on and have your students use is different, but the activity is the same. So he's climbing up. It's a long climb, and Nasrudin has to think about all the things that went wrong during his first trip there. So my idea is that students could work maybe in pairs to write a list of things that they would do differently if they were to make this trip again. So using the second conditional and will for decisions taken on the spot, or which one, the one you prefer. Write in the chat, what would you do differently? And while you write, I'll tell you that a big one with my students is if I were to do this trip again, next time I'd take the plane. I don't want to walk all the way there again. I would definitely drive a car. Yes, okay, so a vehicle. You don't want to go on foot again. Okay, you would get someone to do it with me. So maybe someone to throw to the tigers. So you go safely. To meet me halfway, okay, that's a good one. I would run, yes. A weapon, oh. Okay, yes, so. Tiger repelling, okay. Thank you very much for your ideas. I would dress as a tiger to confuse them, okay. So, with lower levels, I chose a different focus still on grammar. And again, the activity is doable with both structures. I chose want to and going to. So Nasrudin's climbing up, but he's tired. He doesn't like that. But the thought that gives him strength is what he's going to do or he wants to do when he gets home. So using want to and going to, write in the chat, what are you going to do when you get home? I would just sit on the sofa, read a book, and drink hot chocolate for the next 2 weeks. A long hot shower, yes, so you don't smell. A shower, okay. Bath, sleep, yeah. Write a book, yeah. Yeah, work. You tell everyone about it. A hot bath. Okay. Learn more about jungles and tigers. A travel blog. Okay. Thank you very much for your ideas. And so we've helped Nasrudin go back to his house and he's safe. So thank you very much for being my students. I hope you enjoyed this and you can go home, possibly not through a jungle, with some ideas on how to use storytelling in your lessons, follow your course plan, and bring some creativity into your classes. So before I finish, I just want to tell you a little bit about this wonderful person, David Heathfield. As I mentioned at the beginning, I took a couple of courses with him and I did some projects with him. So I would definitely recommend him if you're interested in storytelling and discovering more about storytelling. His main course is called the CREST course. And he's also currently doing a project called Around the World in 88 Tales, which I'm very, very proud to be part of. And I would recommend him because not only he's a wonderful teacher and he tells you about storytelling, and he tells you about techniques that you can use and how to use them in your classes, but he also inspires you to be a better person, a better storyteller, and to go deeper in that. And I wouldn't be here without him. So please check him out. I'll add some links to the chat when I finish. So if you're interested, you can discover more.